Rollingstone magazine. Never thought we'd get our news from there. So Rollingstone magazine did an interview with the creative minds of Wizard of the Coast. Wizard of the Coast being the guys behind all the CCG stuff that Hasbro is responsible for, such as Magic the Gathering and a lot of the other of that fair. And they talked with their president, which is unfortunately named Chris Cox.
Well, I don't know why I don't know why in this article they spread out the name.
I think that because I don't know, maybe they didn't want to get flagged when people do searches.
Oh, probably.
You know, yeah, and it's quite interesting because this entire digital article, like the guy Chris Cox, his last name, as Wendell's pointing out, they space out Cox, probably because they're worried that just when people are doing searches, maybe parental search programs, just to prevent that. Anyways, getting off of male appendages and how it relates to Transformers. So Wizard of the Coast president was interviewed and talking about Magic the Gathering and their role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons and everything. And they mentioned that they do have a Transformer card game that is being planned. And what was interesting is when this was mentioned and it's how it's going to work and its whole system, how it's going to have two separate decks. There's going to be one deck specifically for your characters, and there's going to be another, or your warriors, and another deck for your abilities and everything like that could power up or amp up your heroes, to use his word. They mentioned that just like the Magic the Gathering Grimlock card, the character cards are going to be two-sided to represent obviously transformation and robot mode. What was interesting was the art that was shown of Optimus Prime and Megatron to represent like what the card art will be. This art actually originally stemmed from the Transformers Legends cell phone game that we had maybe about a year, 2 years ago. So I'm curious if they're going to be using the art from that game for all of the trading cards. Because the art in that game, by the way, was amazing.
Right.
Looks really I almost wanted like there to be an art book of the art from that game, how nice it was. Or they're just using this as placeholders right now to give people an idea of things. But if that's the case, either way, I'm excited about this. I'm a big CCG guy. When I was at HasCon, I was playing Magic the Gathering that weekend. You know, like, and I'm really, I always felt that Hasbro had something with Transformers and Magic the Gathering, and considering how well the sales were for that Grimlock, not to mention for that Grimlock 3-pack Magic card set, but also the Grimlock playpad.
Yeah,
how
exactly.
all of that stuff was selling out like mad. Clearly the writing was on the wall for Hasbro and Wizard of the Coast, and them going like, well, clearly there's a demand here from a crossover audience that we could be marketing to. I personally thought that they were going to just make Magic the Gathering subsets to then bring in Transformer fans into Magic the Gathering and then make double the money.
Yeah.
What I find, it's interesting that it looks like they're making their own straight up card game.
Yeah.
With its own what's the word I'm looking for? With its own with its own image and its own way of play and its own I'm trying to find the proper word to use this. It's own ecology, if you will.
Oh, okay.
Just of how it's going to function.
Yeah,
instead of
I
it
mean,
being,
that's one of the bigger things right now is that a lot of people are funding new board games and card games on Kickstarter and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it makes sense that they would try to make a little bit something different from Magic the Gathering that they already have. That's already a locked-in audience that will follow them wherever they go. But I don't think they'll.
The only reason why I find that bizarre is if this does get legs, and HasCon isn't going to be this year, 2018. It's going to be in 2019.
Right.
If this get legs, that's more space that they'll have to allocate to a separate card game. Right. If it is successful, where if they would have just integrated it into the already Magic, ecology, if you will, you wouldn't have to create a separate area. It's another subset that's a Transformer subset. I personally, in my opinion, I think they probably should have kept it in the Magic family, because then you would have given people their first cigarette to a whole new thing that they could be making money off of. I think what it could be is, this isn't the first time Transformers has had a collectible card game. It has had in the past, and it wasn't successful. It was the 3D collectible card game, which I have every card of, because I just bought boosters and then, went crazy.
Yeah.
And that was not successful. It had a main series, which was based off of the movie continuity, and then they did an expansion series, which was kind of based off of classic stuff and everything like that of that era, with some Beast Wars and movie stuff. And then that was it, and then it just died. It just died in the water, and no one ever spoke of it ever again. I don't know a single person who collected it and or played it aside from me. Like, literally, I was alone with that.
You were the weird kid.
No, well, it's because I collect everything. So.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, hey guys, you want to play this Transformers card game?
Yeah, well, that's just it. No, and I know a lot of people who play CCGs, and no one touched that.
Right.
So it was really, and there was a lot of other CCGs around that exact same time, like the Marvel Versus series, and same thing. Capcom has their own thing that's similar to that too, with Street Fighter and the Mega Man stuff. Between that and obviously Magic the Gathering and all the other different CCGs that exist, including Force of Will, which is another one too that's not related to Magic. It just happens to be called Force of Will.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
That being said, I'm curious if the only reason why they're making it different from Magic is they want to try it without Magic, see if it does well.
Yeah.
If it does well, they'll continue forward. If it doesn't do well, then they'll integrate it into Magic and they'll make Magic cards. I think because they know for a fact, if they probably integrate it with Magic, it's going to be a success. I think they probably know, and I agree 200% it will be a success. But I think they want to test the water one last time.
Yeah, exactly.
With something that is their own, their own creation.
Give it
not
a
Richard
little
Garfield's
bit
creation.
difference, because I mean, I think it would probably be a little bit. Like, I don't see how you would be able to play the Grimlock card, because you already know what it is, face up, face down.
No, I was told by modern Magic players, two-sided cards are a thing now.
Oh, okay, never mind. That's just
they
how
are.
old I am.
Yeah, well, that's just it. So, two-sided cards are a thing now. I mean, Wendell back in the day used to play Magic with us too. So he had a red burn direct damage deck.
Regrets.
Yeah. But so, I mean, like I said, I think that what they're just going at with this right now is
and also I want to point out that we can't forget that Magic is its own thing, and it's going its own direction and stuff like that. So I think, like, the other way of thinking is that, well, Magic already has its set thing and it's going in this direction. I completely agree with Pronoman that they want to test a market outside of that.
Well,
and not screw up the path they already have going, that they've already been planning for so long, Because I mean,
and what you're saying too, especially because here's the thing: Magic the Gathering at its core is all medieval stuff,
Magic,
or at most steampunk. So when you bring in Transformers, if you bring it in as a subset, you actually are interrupting the ongoing story and flow of it. Because the reality of Magic is you are a summoner summoning spells, which happen to be these creatures and stuff like that, and using all these very organic stuff as power, the plains, the swamps, the islands, all this stuff that is very not Transformers unless you're a Beast Machines guy in the trans-organic kind of area. But that being said, so for them, it's like, I would see that if they'll do this card set, make it its own thing. If it's not successful, then we will get Transformers Magic the Gathering, but it'll be like Unglued, where it'll be a spin-off separate from Magic. It functions in the Magic ecology, but is separate from Magic, and it's its own thing.
Because even how Grimlock looks, how the D&D item works, looks and works, and how the Nerf gun card works, it's very much in that Magic aesthetic. It's very much.
Oh yeah, totally. Well, the choice of using Grimlock,
Yeah.
having something that was an animal, that was a T-Rex, something that already kind of existed in Magic the Gathering. There was dinosaurs already, and the other choices. The Nerf thing is just an extension of any kind of medieval weapons.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the Dungeons and Dragons swords. It was just again an extension of that. Where the second you bring in Optimus Prime, who turns into a truck, right away everything that is Magic is now turned on its head.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand why they're going that route.
And I could also see that, oh well, we have this set coming out. We don't want Transformers to just disrupt that set we already had planned for the whole year coming out.
Well, that's why I see it
all these tournaments, all these packagings, it's like it's a big thing, Magic, so it's not like it's a little tiny thing they could just switch on a dime. Just doesn't work like that.
I see it that if this is not successful, the following HasCon will have more exclusive cards that just dabble into that universe, and if there still is a demand from the Magic side of it, then I could see them maybe having a starter deck that's separated from that, a spin-off like Unglued was back in the day. That it's just its own kind of thing that it works within like that same system, but just is its own thing otherwise. I know for a fact, because I'm addicted to this kind of stuff 200%. The second those booster boxes come out, those pre-orders and those starter decks, pre-order day one for me, for sure, for sure. So if anyone's looking for doubles or anything, hit me up, because I'll definitely. And if anyone's, by the way, if anyone's looking for doubles from the 3D card game, hit me up, because I still got plenty of those. Still got plenty of those. Oh boy.